Ladies and gentlemen, in the 3 minutes that I have, I want to express that this is a moment of optimism. It's a moment of optimism because in the title of tonight's Zoom is the memory of the Holocaust and the shared moral struggle against anti-Semitism. And it's that couplet of memory and moral clarity that gives us now 75 years, as Rabbi Cooper reminds us, of the liberation of Auschwitz, to be optimistic together. And the optimism comes from the establishment of the new center in Florence with the blessing of the mayor and the tremendous moral clarity and leadership of the honorable honorary consul of Israel to Florence, to Italy is Marco Carai, whose great spirit and leadership helped to establish the center, and in partnership with the Jerusalem Center for Public Affairs. And now with the great honor I have of coming to fill the shoes of the Honorable Dori Gold, who stepped to the side after 22 years of distinguished leadership. Our view at the Jerusalem Center is to become an anchor, a vital link in the civilizations of the Arab Middle East, Africa, and the West, Europe and the United States. We see ourselves as serving as a vital link of communication, of brotherhood, of really shared moral leadership between the civilizations. And I must say that I was very optimistic today because our president, Isaac Herzog, spoke before the European Parliament, both issuing a warning about what could happen if we don't join forces to struggle against the new forms of anti-Semitism. The new forms of anti-Semitism we see from the struggle since the Holocaust to protect individual Jews, now the new targeting of sovereign Jews, of the collective Jewish community, with a click, as Rabbi Cooper reminded us, with the click of an iPhone, the click of the button on this iPhone, billions of people can be mobilized to hatred, to violence, and to terror within seconds. And this is what we have to be very mindful of, is that today, as we commemorate the Holocaust and 75 years since Auschwitz, we now have new forms of anti-Semitism, which have been in past years delegitimized as being called political. But in fact, if we look even just a few kilometers away, we see that our neighbors in the Palestinian Authority are radicalizing their children to murder Jews in some of the most anti-Semitic discourse that we've seen since the Second World War period, in the school books, in the public discourse, in the media of the Palestinian Authority. We are seeing today a type of a Jew hatred that we haven't seen in 7.5 decades. And it really behooves all of us to stand up as brothers and sisters of moral clarity, to say we must not allow this type of rhetoric to dominate the international discourse or the regional discourse, because, you know, as the memory of the Holocaust fades from the international discussion, and we see it in the numbers, young people in the West, particularly in the United States and also in Europe, people under 40 are not remembering the Holocaust. They are not understanding the depth of what happened. And as George Santayana has said, those who cannot remember the past are condemned to repeat it. So it is our moral mandate together to not only to keep the memory alive, but to stand shoulder to shoulder, as Fiamma and I had discussed, between our institutes in order to fight the new forms of anti-Semitism together, and to keep this moral mandate to fight for decency, for brotherhood, for sisterhood of well-intentioned people together, and to keep that moral mandate in front of us, that we should never allow the type of hatred that we remember tonight, that ended up in the mass murder of 6 million Jews and millions of others alive. And let me say that this is a moment of great optimism, because we have Jews and Christians and Muslims, children of God, children who are fearful of the one God, that we have come together in order to make this moral mandate a living mandate together as we move forward and protect to protect one another, and to remind ourselves that the Holocaust, as Rabbi Abe said, it could happen again, lest we not stand shoulder to shoulder and commit ourselves to the fight. And let me say that in closing, that the Jerusalem Center for Public Affairs and the Center for European Studies to Counter Antisemitism will take a leadership role in fighting the new forms of anti-Semitism and keeping our relationship strong, and the moral mandate in front of us to struggle against all forms of hatred, beginning with anti-Semitism. God bless all of you, and thank you for holding this wonderful session this evening. And let us continue to work to eliminate hatred and to work for the common good of humanity. Thank you all.